Rockview was a shadow of what it used to be. Nestled in the rusty heart of the Midwest, it was a town of cracked asphalt and faded dreams, where old Ford pickups coughed along Main Street and the stars and stripes hung limp outside boarded-up diners. Back in the day, steel mills roared here, pumping life into every corner until they didn't. Now, all that stood tall was Chase Bank, a glass and marble giant rising from the decay like a middle finger to time. Its polished facade gleamed under the late Friday sun, a stubborn holdout of the American promise, security, prosperity, the whole damn deal. To the folks scraping by in Rockview, it was their rock, even if the cracks were starting to show. The lobby hummed with the usual end-of-week shuffle customers tapping phones, tellers counting cash when the double doors groaned open. Heads turned and the hum died fast. In shuffled an old man, his frame wiry and hunched, swallowed by a coat so threadbare it looked like it'd seen the Great Depression. A beat-up cap shadowed his face, but his left hand caught the light silver ring, scratched with CK, glinting like a whisper of something big. Over his shoulder hung a burlap sack, heavy and stained, dragging a little as he moved. Most figured he was just another drifter off the highway. Rockview got plenty of those, but the way he carried himself said different. He stopped dead center, boots scraping the marble, and dropped the sack with a thud that bounced off the walls. The crowd froze as he straightened, cap tipping back to reveal eyes like steel sharp, burning, alive with a fire that didn't match his years. When he spoke, his voice was gravel and grit, slicing the silence. This bank's mine, and I'm here to take back every damn thing you stole from me. A beat, then laughter harsh, jagged cracked the air. A stocky guy in a flannel shirt, grease stains on his cuffs, leaned against the ATM and snorted. "Yeah, right, Pops," he called, voice rough from years of shouting over engines. "I lost my shop to these bastards. Good luck getting a dime out of him." His name was Mike, a mechanic who'd seen Chase for clothes on his garage 2 years back, and his smirk was half bitter, half amused. The blonde teller behind the counter, Jenny, barely 20, all ponytail and nervous energy, stifled a giggle, whispering to her coworker, "He's gotta be kidding." Even Steven, the hulking security guard with a badge pinned tight, stepped forward, arms crossed, his deep growl cutting through. "All right, buddy, take your sob story outside before I haul you out myself." But the old man didn't flinch. He locked eyes with Steven, calm as a loaded shotgun. "Haul me out," he said, slow and cold, "and you'll crawl back, begging when you see who I am." Then he turned to Mike, nodding at him like they shared a secret. "Lost your shop, huh? Stick around, you might get it back." The words hung there, heavy, daring anyone to call his bluff. Across the room, Adam Tate emerged from his office, gray suit crisp but eyes tired. He'd been branch manager for 15 years, a guy who'd climbed from nothing to something, and on his desk sat a faded photo of his Dada janitor who'd mopped these floors till the bank's grind broke him. Adam squared his shoulders, forcing a tight smile. "Okay, mister," he said, voice clipped. "You've got 5 seconds to explain before Steven shows you the door." "What's this about?" The old man knelt, slow and deliberate, tugging the sack's frayed cord. The lobby held its breath as the burlap peeled back. Out spilled faded banknotes crisp once, now yellow with age, stamped with a Chase logo no one under 50 had seen. A dusty ledger followed, leather cracked but solid, pages thick with history. And then, slipping free like a ghost, came a black and white photo. A young man in a sharp suit, standing proud before this bank on opening day, Chase Bank, stood 1948 bold behind him. Next to him, another figure smirked, face that prickled Adam's memory but wouldn't click. Mike's smirk vanished. "What the hell," he muttered, stepping closer. Jenny gasped, her gum nearly falling out. Steven's arms dropped, his growl fading to a grunt. "No way." Adam scooped up the photo, his thumb brushing the young man's face, a face too much like the old man's to ignore. "Who are you?" he demanded, voice shaking despite himself. The old man rose, shadow stretching across the marble, his ring glinting like a badge of honor. "Name's Charles Kane," he said, loud and clear. "I built this bank with my own hands, and I'm here to prove it was ripped from me starting right now." The Chase Bank lobby turned into a pressure cooker the second those old banknotes hit the marble. Charles Kane's words, "I built this bank," and it was ripping from me, hung in the air like smoke after a gunshot, and the crowd couldn't look away. The photo of young Charles, sharp-suited and proud, lay beside the ledger in faded cash, a silent dare to call him a liar. Jenny, the blonde teller, chewed her gum harder, eyes wide as she leaned over the counter. Stephen, the security guard, flexed his meaty fists, his badge glinting like he still had a job to do. And Mike, the mechanic in flannel, stared at the pile, his grease-stained hands twitching how he'd lost his garage to chase his loans. And now this old man was stirring something he didn't dare name. Adam Tate clutched the photo, his thumb smudging the edge where young Charles stood. His dad's face flashed in his mind, those late nights mopping this very floor. The cough that never left after the bank cut his hours. Adam forced a laugh, but it came out thin. "All right, Charles Kane, huh?" he said, voice tight as he tossed the photo back onto the pile. "Nice props, real vintage vibe. But you think I'm buying at this? People fake crap like this every day. Bay's full of it. What's your game?" Charles didn't blink. He stepped closer, boots scuffing the floor, his silver CK ring catching the light like a warning shot. "My game?" he said, voice low and cutting. "I laid the foundation of this place while your daddy was still in diapers. That ledger's got my name. Go on Reddit. Unless you're scared him right." Mike snorted, crossing his arms. "Prove it, old man. I've heard a lot of sob stories, none got me my shop back." His tone was sharp, but his eyes flicked to the sack, doubt creeping in. Jenny whispered to her coworker, "Has gotta be nuts, right?" But her gums stopped popping. Her breath held. Stephen loomed forwards, his growl rumbling. "Boss, say the word, I'll drag him out." Guy's talking like he owns the deed to the White House. Adam waved Stephen off, crouching to grab the ledger. The leather felt like it'd crumble in his hands, but the pages held firm rows of ink, dates, numbers, all leading to one line. Charles Kane, founder, Chase Bank, Rockview Branch, Eston, 1948. A seal stamp beside it matched the framed certificates on the wall, the ones Adam's dad used to polish, the ones he'd bragged about to school kids on tours. His gut twisted. "Charles Kane," he muttered, looking up. "The Charles Kane, guy who started this place? No way. Everyone knows he's been dead since the 70s. Charles gave a slow nod, his shadow stretching long and dark. "Dead to you, maybe. But I'm standing here, alive and pissed, ready to take back what's mine." His eyes flicked to Mike. "And maybe get you that shop back, too, if you've got the guts to listen." The lobby buzzed. Jenny gasped, "Oh my God, he's serious," her voice cracking with something like awe. Mike rubbed his neck, muttering, "This better not be bullshit, man. I'm 2 payments from sleeping in my truck." Stephen's scowl softened, his hand easing off his baton as he grunted, "Hell, he's got balls. I'll give him that." A woman in a red coat near the back, Edna, a retiree who'd lost half her savings to Chase's feast, piped up. "My grandpa knew Kane, said he got screwed, never said how bad." Adam stood, brushing dust off his slacks, his mind racing. He'd built his life on this bank, 15 years of late nights, kissing up to suits, telling himself he was honoring his dad's grind. Now this? He squared his jaw, voice hardening. "Look, I don't care what's in your sack. Photoshop's cheap and crazy's free. You're saying you're 100 years old and just forgot to sue us?" Till now, Charles' lips twitched, not a smile but a predator's gleam. 100? Close enough. "And I didn't forget a damn thing." He tapped the ledger with his boot, dust puffing up. "I've been waiting for the day I'd walk in here and shove the truth in your face. You want more? Dig deeper. But you ain't gonna like it." Mike stepped up, arms uncrossing. "Wait, hold up. You're saying you can prove this? 'Cause if you're jerking us around, I'm out." His voice shook, not just doubt, but a flicker of hope. The kind of guy like him hadn't felt since the bank took his keys. Stephen snorted, breaking the spell. What's next, a time machine? Simon, Bosslitz, and this circus. But his eyes stayed on Charles, less sure than before. Adam's pulse hammered. He glanced at his dad's photo on the desk, those tired eyes staring back then at Charles. "All right," he said, voice low. "Show me." But if this is a con, you're done. He didn't know why he didn't call Stephen, and maybe it was the ledger. Maybe the way Charles stood like he owned the air. Either way, he couldn't stop now. Charles reached into the sack, slow and deliberate, pulling out a stack of yellowed papers, red seals glaring like bloodstains. He held them out, his gaze locking Adam's like a vice. "Read 'em," he said, voice dropping to a growl. "Then tell me I'm a liar." The red-sealed papers trembled in Adam Tate's hands, their weight sinking into him like a stone. The Chase Bank lobby buzzed with restless energy. Mike, the mechanic, shifting on his boots. Jenny's gum forgotten as she stared. Edna clutching her worse like a lifeline. Stephen stood rigid, his baton untouched, watching Charles Kane with a mix of doubt and something close to fear. The old man's shadow stretched across the marble, his silver CK ring glinting as he waited, calm as a storm about to break. Adam skimmed the first-page legal script, faded but sharp, and his breath caught. Original deed, Chase Bank, Rockview. Charles Kane, sole owner, 1948, he read, voice faltering. No transfer, no sale, state of Illinois seal. He looked up, eyes narrowing. This says you never gave it up. Charles nodded, slow and hard, his gaze piercing through Adam like a blade. Never did. It was stolen, ripped right out of my hands. His voice was gravel, edged with a fury that simmered for decades. He pointed at the gleaming counters, the brass plaques. Every damn thing here's mine, built on my sweat, my blood. Mike stepped closer, his flannel sleeves rolled up. Stolen? How? I lost my shop to their bullshit rates. Tell me they screwed you too. His tone was half challenge, half plea, a man dangling on the edge of belief. Charles turned to him, eyes flashing. They didn't just screw me. They buried me. He didn't pause long, just enough to let it sink in, then cut to the bone. Back in 48, I was 25, full of piss and vinegar. Rockview was alive, mills roaring, folks flush with cash. I saw a shot to build something real, so I scraped every nickel, worked till my hands bled, and opened this bank. But I had a partner, John Merrow. Best friends since we were kids, stealing beers from gas stations. We swore we'd make it big together. He stopped, jaw tightening, and for a split second, you could see a train hammering his old Chevy. John smirked through the glass as the bank slipped away. Then greed got him, Charles said, voice dropping low. 58, he turned. Forged papers saying I stole cash, hired a slimeball lawyer to sell the lie. Board ate it up. One night, I'm out kicked to the curb, name erased, watching John grin while the rain soaked me through. Jenny gasped, hand flying to her mouth. That's awful. Edna's voice cracked, sharp and angry. Bastards! My savings went poof in '08. Sounds like the same game. Her purse shook as she waved it, tying her loss to his. Adam's grip on the papers tightened, his dad's photo burning a hole in his mind. Those late nights cleaning this place, coughing himself to death for a bank that might have been rotten from the start. If this is true, he snapped, why'd you let it go? 50 years and you didn't fight, Sue? Something? Charles met his glare, unflinching. Fight? He barked a bitter laugh. I pounded every door, lawyers, judges, even the damn state house. But John had cash, cronies, a silver tongue. He drowned me in bullshit, then pinned a debt on the millions I never touched. Made me a fugitive. I ran, hid, lived like a dog while he stacked his empire on my grave. Mike's fists clenched. Same crap they pulled on me. Sorry, pal. Pay up or lose it. You're saying they've been at this forever? His voice shook, anger boiling over from 2 years of sleeping in his truck. Edna chimed in, fierce. My grandpa said Kane vanished, thought he skipped town. They hunted you? Her eyes blazed, a retiree ready to storm the barricades. Charles nodded, slow and heavy. Hunted me till I learned to hunt back. He swept his gaze over them, Mike, Edna, Jenny, Stephen. I didn't sit on my hands. I tracked every scrap papers, whispers, anything to nail him. Took 50 years, but I got it. The room hummed, shock mixing with a growing fire. Jenny whispered, he's a freaking legend. Stephen grunted, guy's got guts that have snapped. Adam's stomach churned. Had sold his soul to this bank late nights. Pep talks about its history, all to honor his dad. Now it was crumbling. He glanced at the photo on his desk, his dad's tired smile, then back at Charles. Why now? He demanded, voice raw. What's the point after all this time? Charles straightened, his presence filling the lobby like a thunderhead. Because I'm done running, he said, voice ringing with a fury that shook the air. I've got the truth, every dirty secret John and his kin buried. He reached into the sack, pulling out a scratched cassette player, setting it down with a clunk that silenced the room. And you're going to hear it straight from the snake himself. He stabbed the play button, his eyes locked on Adam's. Listen up, son. This is where it gets real. The Chase Bank lobby crackled like a live wire, every breath held as Charles Kane set the battered cassette player on the marble floor. His silver CK ring glinted under the chandelier, a quiet promise of war. His eyes locked on Adam Tate with a fire that could melt steel. Adam clutched the red-sealed deed, his dad's photo on the desk, a haunting shadow, those tired eyes judging him from beyond. Mike, the mechanic, hovered close, his grease-stained fist itching for a fight. Jenny's gum was a distant memory, her hands gripping the counter. Edna's purse dangled loose, her retiree fury simmering. Stephen stood like a statue, baton untouched, his guard crumbling under Charles' weight. Adam's voice shook as he hovered over the play button. What's on this thing, he asked, half dreading the answer, his faith in the bank a legacy he'd tied to his dad, hanging by a thread. Charles leaned in, voice a slow, cold burn. The truth they buried, he said, each word a hammer. Hit it, son, unless you're afraid to hear what your daddy died for. The jab hit hard. Adam's jaw clenched, his dad's cough, those late nights mopping for Chase, flashed hot. He wasn't letting this old man call him out in his own house. He slammed the button and static hissed through the air, followed by a frail, rasping voice. Leonard Fisk, attorney, October 3rd, 1985. I'm dying, and this is eating me. John Marrow paid me to frame Charles Kane, forged the books, faked $1 million debt. Charles was clean. John took it all. A wet cough broke the words, then, forgive me, Charles, click, dead air. The room detonated. Son of a bitch, Mike roared, kicking the ATM, his shop's foreclosure blazing in his eyes. They pulled that crap on me, too, Jenny shrieked. It's real, he's real. Her voice cracking as she clutched a banknote. Edna's purse hit the floor with a thud, her shout razor sharp. Same game they ran in 008, stole my savings blind. Stephen's jaw dropped, muttering, holy hell, this guy's no ghost. Adam stumbled back, the deed slipping, his dad's memory twisting. Did he scrub floors for thieves? Charles stood still, letting the chaos swirl, his eyes scanning the crowd like a hunter mid-stalk. The cheers and curses peaked, and just as the noise crested, he raised a hand slow, deliberate, silencing them cold. You think that's all? He said, voice low, a predator's purr. I saved the kill shot for last. He reached into the sack, pausing, letting the tension choke the air, then yanked out a rusted metal box. He slammed it onto the counterclang and flipped the lid, revealing ledgers, their pages yellowed but screaming with sin. Adam lunged, flipping one open, his breath hitching. Offshore accounts. Cayman's millions, he rasped, eyes racing. Then he froze, voice exploding. They siphoned half Rockview's taxes, funneled it to a yacht. Marrow's pride. These bastards partied it while my dad coughed his lungs out for their floors. He spun to Charles, face ashen. This is jail time, fraud, evasion. The works. Charles' smirk was a blade's edge. Jail, he snapped. They'll rot there. John didn't just rob me, he gutted this town. His kids kept the cash flowing, lived fat while you starved. He jabbed the box. Names, dates, payoffs enough to bury the Marrows for life. The lobby ignited draw, feral, a beast unchained. Mike punched the air, bellowing, that's why my shop's a parking lot. Yacht riding scum. Edna stormed up, fists shaking. My retirement bought their champagne. I want blood. Jenny waved her banknote, sobbing. Has our fighter. He's been at it all along. Stephen cracked his knuckles, voice a growl. I guarded this lie, screw him. I'm done. Adam sank against the counter, ledgers trembling in his grip. His dad's photo stared those eyes, that cough. A life spent on a fraud. You're saying he choked? This bank, my dad's bank, is built on crimes? Not just yours, but ours. And that debts still live? Live! Charles thundered, voice shaking the glass. It's a bomb millions they pinned on me, ready to blow this place to hell when the feds hit. He turned to the crowd, eyes ablaze. This ain't my fight alone, it's yours. Mike's shop, Edna's cash, your whole damn town, they bled it dry. Now what? The roar was seismic, Raj, hope, a reckoning unleashed. Mike yelled, Nail him! Can I give me my life back? Edna echoed. For Rockview, make him pay. Jenny's sobs turned to cheers. Hess our guy. Stephen stepped up, grinning. You're a badass, old man. Him all in, Adam's head spun. He'd sold his soul, hair nights defending a lie, all for his dad. Now it was ash. He looked at Charles, voice a whisper. What's next? You've got us the bank, the town. Me, what do you want? Charles stood tall, shadow swallowing the room, ring a beacon of steel. I want it all, he said, voice a quiet roar. Justice, their empire in ruins. And you to remember me and what they stole. He leaned in, eyes boring into Adam's. Your call, son. Yous are the liars? The air cracked, a fuse lit for the final stand. The Chase Bank lobby was a powder keg lit Charles Kane's cassette confession still ringing. The rusted ledger box spilling tax theft and yacht-fueled greed onto the counter. His silver CK ring shone like a battle flag, his shadow swallowing the room as he stared down Adam Tate. Adam clutched the evidence, deed tape, ledgers, his hands trembling. His dad's photo a ghost on the desk. Those coughing nights now tied to Marrow's pride. Mike's fist shook, his shop lost to the same thieves. Jenny waved a banknote, tears streaking her face. Edna's purse lay abandoned, her savings fueling champagne dreams. Stephen cracked his knuckles, guard no more, ready to swing. Adam's voice cracked under Charles' glare, us or the liars? The question seared him. 15 years of loyalty to a bank that killed his dad with lies. He glanced at the photo of those sunken eyes, that cough from floors scrubbed for fraud, and broke. Us, he said, voice raw, rising to a shout. My dad died for this place. I thought it was honor. It was bullshit. I'm with you, Charles Fedsell, get this, and Maroslaw, choke on it. He yanked his phone, dialing fast. The crowd roared wild, unstoppable, a tidal wave of fury and hope. Mike bellowed, for my shop, that yacht's mine now, grabbing a banknote like a war trophy. Jenny screamed, you're epic, Adam, her note flapping high. Edna shouted, for my savings, sink that pride. Stephen clapped Adam's back, growling, screw this, gig him in, Kane. Charles raised a hand, cutting the chaos cold. I don't need cheers, he said, voice a blade through the din. I don't need this bank. He reached into the sack, pulling a thick manila folder worn, heavy, the final nail. He slammed it down thud and shoved it toward Adam. Every Marrow asset, houses, jets, that damn yacht. Millions they stole while Rockview bled. Burn it down. Adam ripped it open, deeds, trusts, tax scams, his eyes blazing. This ends him, he said, voice shaking with fire. Feds'll seize it, all banks dead. Marrows are toast. He barked into the phone, FBI. Now Rockview's got a reckoning. Charles snatched a banknote from the floor, holding it high. Wait, he growled, turning to the crowd. Mike, Edna, Jenny, Stephen. This ain't just for feds, it's yours. They took your shop, your cash, your town. My dreams duster build it right. He tossed the note to Mike, who caught it midair, yelling, hell yeah, my shop's back. Edna grabbed one, waving it. My retirement, I'm done scraping. Jenny thrust hers up, sobbing, for you, Charles. Stephen scooped a stack, tossing them out. Take it, screw 'em. Charles stepped to the counter, sliding the CK ring off. He held it up, a scratched, shining relic, then hurled it down. The clang, a thunderclap on marble. That's me, Charles Kane, founder, fighter. The man they couldn't bury, he roared, voice rattling the glass. This is America. The truth don't just rise, it fights, and it wins. He spun to the doors, boots pounding, and paused, glaring back. You want a legacy? There it is. Tear it down, build it back for me, for you. The door slammed as he vanished into the dusk. Cain, Cain, echoing like a battle hymn. The fire raged on. Adam shouted into his phone, "Get here, it's fraud to the core," as the crowd stormed Main Street and phones blazing. As Charles Cain hitting 2 million tweets in an hour. TikTok exploded, kids remixing truth fights over yacht crash clips. Marrow's Pride, a viral punchline. News vans screeched in, Rockview rebel crushes bank empire. By dawn, feds raided Marrow Estates, seized the yacht, froze every dime. Chase crashed, the branch shuttered, but locals turned it into a co-op with Marrow cash. Mike reopened his shop. Edna cashed out. Rockview breathed again. Charles was gone, some said shadows. Others saw him hitching west, smirking under his cap. But that ring stayed on Main Street, scratched and proud, a legend forged in fire. Rockview doesn't mourn. Chase, they chant Cain, the man who proved America's gut. No lie holds, the truth fights, and one voice can topple kings if it won't bend. His name's etched no on co-op walls, in viral beats, in souls, and it's here to stay. Charles Cain's story isn't just a wild ride, it's a gut-punch reminder of what's real in this world. The big takeaway? The truth don't just sit there, it fights. And if you've got the grit to stand up, it wins. Cain spent 50 years in the shadows, clawing back proof while the Marrows partied on his stolen dream. He could have quit, most would have, but he didn't. He showed us that no matter how deep they bury you, one voice, armed with truth, can topple a whole empire. It's not about the years or the odds. It's about the fire inside. And when Rockview rose with him, Mike grabbing his shop back, Edna reclaiming her savings, Adam honoring his dad's real legacy, it proves something else. Justice isn't solo. It's strongest when we fight together. This ain't just Cain's win, it's ours. In America or anywhere, the lesson's clear. Don't let the liars win. Dig in, push back, and the truth will do the rest. So if this story hit you, lit a spark, made you cheers, mash that like button to keep it rolling. Subscribe to I've got more tales like this, hidden heroes waiting to break free. Drop a comment, what you take from Cain's fight. Let's keep the fire alive together.